Video, we'll be going over IRS Form 8453-CORP. This is the e-file declaration for corporations. So it doesn't matter if you are a C corporation, a traditional corporation, if you're a foreign corporation, or if you're an S corporation, you may be filing IRS Form 8453-CORP. So in this video, we'll walk you through how this form should be completed, who should complete which sections, and what your responsibility may be if you're a corporate officer or if you're the owner of the company. So first and foremost, this may not be the form that you see when accompanying a corporate tax return. There's another form called IRS Form 8879-CORP, and that is the tax form that allows an electronic return originator to use an electronic signature or an identity protection PIN number. So this is what that form looks like. You can see it's a little bit different in that the Part 2 and Part 3 come from the electronic return originator, and there is a PIN involved. So a little bit different from this one. We'll talk a little bit about the nuances in just a moment. So there are three parts to this. There's the information from your tax return. There's the officer's declaration in Part 2. And then in Part 3, there is the declaration of the ERO and paid preparer. So these three people, if all three positions are involved, have to declare make certain declarations under oath. So let's go ahead and start with the top above Part 1. You're going to enter the calendar year number. So this is most recently updated in 2022. So you can fill in for 2023. If you're a fiscal year taxpayer, then you would enter the fiscal year of your tax return. So this would be based on, say, the federal government that has, fiscal year that begins on October 1st and rolls through September 30th of the following year. And then right below that, we have, in this case, John Doe owns a corporation, and there's the employer ID number. In Part 1, you're going to import the total income number from exactly one tax return. Line 1 is the tax return for a normal C corporation, as we kind of know them in the United States. Line 2 is for a foreign corporation that's filing a U.S. tax return. And then number 3 is an S corporation. So let's just say that John Doe is reporting $15,000 of income for a C corp or for an S corporation. You can also enter that amount as a loss here. But again, this is accompanying a tax return, so it's not going to really do anything other than just mirror whatever the respective line from that tax return is. So for the C corporations, that would be on line 11. For a foreign corporation, that would be in section 2, line 11. And then for the S corporation, that's on line 6. Part 2 is going to be the officer's declaration. So the signature field, date, and title at the bottom. There is some guidance in the instructions, but basically the corporate officer has to be either an actual named officer according to the company documents, or has to be given written authorization to commit the corporation on their tax return. So for example, if a corporation has a tax officer, that might not be a named board officer, but that person should probably have the authority to bind the corporation to a tax return. So you're going to check the applicable boxes here. I won't tell you exactly what you should do, but I'll explain how I understand each box to work. So box A would apply if the corporation's expecting a tax refund. So if they overpaid their taxes and they're getting a refund, then box A would signal that the corporation consents to having a refund being directly deposited on as indicated on IRS Form 8050, which is the direct deposit of a corporate tax refund, or as noted on IRS Form 8302, which is the electronic deposit of a tax refund for $1 million or more. So either of those forms should be accompanying the tax return. That's how the IRS would turn around and be able to electronically issue a payment. In box B, we either are stating that the corporation does not want a tax refund or the corporation is not expecting a refund. So boxes A and B are mutually exclusive. Box C basically is stating that the corporation is authorizing the United States Treasury to initiate an ACH withdrawal, electronic funds transfer, direct debit, whatever you want to call it, but electronic payment from your financial institution that was indicated in the tax software. So if you have, an account established, checking box C is the authorization for the IRS to reach out to that financial institution and for the financial institution to have authorization to release that money to the IRS. So if you want to revoke that payment, then you would need to call the U.S. Treasury, the financial agent, at least 2 business days prior to the payment settlement date. So this also allows the financial institutions to receive confidential information to the extent that they can answer questions and resolve any issues. So B and C are not necessarily mutually exclusive. You could possibly say that the corporation's not receiving a refund, but that you're going to authorize the Treasury Department to pull money out. So C would only go with B. A and C are probably mutually exclusive. So if you're selecting A, you're not selecting either B or C. And then part 3, so the electronic return originator, this is, so if you're using what's known as an ISP, like an independent service provider, that's not necessarily the electronic return originator as outlined in the instructions here, then you would need to file IRS Form 8453. Basically, you're giving permission to someone that's not an electronic return originator to transmit this information that you're filing online. If you're using an ERO, like an accountant generally can be considered an ERO, even if they're the paid tax preparer, then this is their declaration that they've reviewed everything, the entries are correct and complete to the best of their knowledge, and then as a paid tax preparer, they're also declaring under penalty of perjury that they've examined the tax return, all the schedules and statements, and that they believe that everything is correct and complete to the best of their knowledge. So the ERO, if the ERO is not the tax preparer, is not trying to certify the accuracy of the information. They're just simply saying that they followed the applicable instructions. If they're the paid tax preparer, then they've also exercised reasonable due diligence based on the IRS requirements. So the ERO would complete this so that, and then the paid tax preparer would complete this section. So in the EROs section, you're talking about the signature, the date. There's a box that they would check if they're also the tax preparer. There's a box that they would check if they're self-employed, their social security number or their PTIN, which is the preparer tax ID number, and then the firm's name, or your name if you're their firm or their name if they're self-employed, and then an employer ID number and a phone number. If they're also the paid tax preparer, they don't necessarily need to complete this information. If they're two separate entities, then you would see two different sets of information. So someone might be the tax preparer within the same firm as the ERO. You might see that, you might not. So all this to say, for a corporate tax return, this may be used if there's an e-file for using a personal identification number or a PIN, then that would be the IRS Form 8879. And so the ERO does have the option to pick one of these. If you're not submitting using an ERO, then this is going to be the form that you happen to see. So I think that does it for this tax form. We cover a little bit more detail in our article, so you can find that on teachmepersonalfinance.com. Type in IRS Form 8453-CORP, and we go into a little bit more detail, step by step. We also compare this to other tax forms that are very similar. There's different versions of Form 8453, so you'll want to make sure that you use the correct one. And so if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter, which you can do through our website and through the link in the comment section. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.